Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Roaming Prepper channel, and thank you for showing up today. Just double checking my audio to make sure it's behaving. Um, I see myself and I see your chat, so I'm assuming you guys can see me. By all means, let me know if something does not sound or look correct. Hey, Stuart, how are you? Joe, Monique, Loretta. There was someone else up here. Brad was way up there somewhere. I lost you, Brad. Sorry. There he is. Hey, there he is. Um, Thank you, Monique. Thank you. Um, Normally, I put my Tuesday talk show as my little microphone on the blue background, and it's like talk show. And hey, Jen Sammy, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Um, I got to tell you, I'm absolutely annoyed right now because the stupid hit close to home, not to my home, but to someone close to me, actually, a coworker. I'll give you the Cliff Notes version of what happened and why I'm all pissed off today because it's an interesting story. He went on a trip to a city that has recently taken the stance of not not enforcing quality of life behavior laws, if you catch my meaning. Hey, Bug Dude, how are you? Welcome, welcome. And he and his wife were walking down a street. They had just had lunch with a friend, middle of the day, guys, middle of the day. And there's people walking back and forth. And he said, look, he's not from the U.S. He's actually from Canada, but he works here on business. And he said, I looked around me and nobody flagged me. Everyone seemed to be dressed like casual, There wasn't like, the stereotypical guy in the garbage clothes in the corner yelling for money. Just people walking around. And he said they stopped at a red light. It was him, his wife, and other people around. And he said the guy to his right, who was on a phone just a few seconds before, reaches down. He said he actually ducked. He looked like a discus thrower. You know how the discus throwers kind of go down and then they throw. And hey, Stuart, I saw Stuart run in here. He This guy cracked his wife, basically sucker punched her, which apparently is a thing now in certain cities. Um, he Fortunately, I guess he lost his balance when he wound up and struck the spouse across basically across the chest bone, right across the breast, as opposed to hitting her square in the face. But the fist obviously traveled up. He said it flattened her. So reacting the way he did, he looked at his wife, went down. He looked at her. The guy actually fell, and before he tried to get up and running, I don't know, man. But my colleague was on this guy, right? Now they're fighting in the street, and he said, that was bad, and he didn't know at the time if it was a mugging or whatnot. So they're down there and they're struggling. And then he said, I came to this realization, dude, that nobody was helping me. And I said, well, what do you mean nobody was anyone there? Hey, Caribbean House, how are you? Well, so get this. Anyway, he's got the guy down. He's just, pop, pop, pop. He's just raining on the guy. And my colleague's not a big guy, so he was probably just on adrenaline and pissed off, right? And they're fighting. And he said the guy looked shocked that he was getting a beating. Like he looked genuinely upset, like confused, like he couldn't fathom why he was getting clunked. But he said the people around him had their phones like this. He said, dude, one of them hit me in the head with their phone. I said, were they calling 911? He said a waitress ran out of the little cafe they had just been in with a towel and ice to try to help his wife. And there was an elderly couple who was helping her. But everyone else was videoing him. And he's yelling, somebody call the cops. This guy just knocked my wife out. And one guy, an older gentleman, goes, oh, geez, Leah, let me do that. And so he took some video and then he called the cops. And I guess he got lost in the moment, but he said the rest of them, they did nothing. They just videoed. And we're telling him that he was going to hurt the assailant. So finally, a wrestling coach shows up. Hey, Serena Cutie, how are you? I don't get it either. I don't get it. And this is why I'm salty today, because these are the nicest people. And not the thug, the couple. Anyway, he's so the wrestling coach comes in, at least helps him get down. And he said, look, I'm a teacher. I'm going to get in trouble if I get involved, but I'm going to help you pin him. So they kind of finagled the guy, pinned him. So he has the guy down. The guy starts biting my colleague. So he punches him in the side of the head. And they're like, you're being abusive. His wife's still down, by the way, while this is going on. Finally, he said an old man and his wife from Kentucky show up. Country folk, of course. And he says, Bubba, hold his hands. I'm going to get his legs. And this old man, I guess he was a farmer, grabbed him and just, he said he keel hauled him across the curb and then puts a knee basically in his crotch and says, I got his legs and the lower half. Hold his hands, until the cops showed. Cops took 15 minutes. Ambulance got there in like 3. Guy goes to jail, right? And he gets arrested, and away he goes. He said the cops seemed very uninterested. They do a hearing shortly thereafter. He walked with $500 bail. Nobody helped, and he walked. That city's no longer on my list of things I want to visit. Oh, and by the way, 4th time he's done this. He's got a history of mental illness or violence or whatever the hell his malfunction was. I gotta say, had someone hit any family member such that they went down like that, I probably would have smoked him in Texas. I know I'm gonna wind up like getting YouTube jail for this one. I would have smoked his ass right there. I wouldn't even traded fists with him. What in God's green earth? Y'all, a couple got attacked by a guy. At least help the woman who's down, even if you don't know what's going on with the other 2 people. Like, I don't know why they're fighting, but she's obviously hurt. 2 people. Is it me, or do you feel like the leaders are really losing control? Like they don't know what to do anymore. So I saw a posting from Mike Tyson earlier. And Mike Tyson, I'm a big fan of his. I know he went bonkers and bit Holyfield in the ear. But Tyson's kind of cleaned up his act. You know, he's tried to become more righteous in his life. And he posted, he said, social media has taught an entire generation to be ugly to people with no consequence, as opposed to getting punched in the face immediately like I did as a kid. Hey, Northern Girl, how are you? Correct. And that's the thing. So Sassy, the missus, she did a white paper, and it was a very good white paper. And I was her proofreader, right? Because I used to be a tech writer, so I get volunteered with all the family's papers. Um, I should probably do that as a side hustle. I bet I can make some money seeing the way young kids in college right now. I could probably make a killing doing that. Um, but her paper said you have to approach it from 2 ways. One, yeah, the people who have mental illness obviously need some kind of treatment or help. But the other side of it is you have to protect the general public from their mischief until you can contain them. What we have now, and again, I've seen it before because there's stuff that's happened to me I haven't even thrown out on video or Instagram or anything. We're being so compassionate to these folks who have these malfunctions that we're not protecting the general public, but we're reducing the footprint of law enforcement at the same time. This makes no sense. This is a recipe for chaos. So that kind of pissed me off, guys. I've been stewing about this for a week and a half now. And of course, it happened just before Thanksgiving, right? So this poor guy's wife, who wound up with a concussion and a black eye. Fortunately, that was it, because he didn't hit her square. He said, dude, had he hit her hard and got her square in the face, he'd have knocked all her teeth out. Like, she'd be in recovery for months. Hey, Heroic, what's going on? Our county's in now. And you know what the problem is the violent ones are getting out. This is I believe it was Denver or Portland. No big surprise. It was one of those Northwest cities that they've completely lost control of. The problem is this guy is belligerent. So, granted, if the pothead's in the corner and he's stoned by himself and he's not really doing anything other than maybe peeing on the street, just tell him go pee in the woods, shush him away. He's not harming anyone. When they randomly walk up to people and crack them in the side of the head, that's a problem. $500? Dude, for that, I'd wait outside with a baseball bat and say, hey, I'm having a mental anguish because he traumatized my wife, and beat the crap out of him, and then I get $500. I mean, does it work like that? Or they throw me in jail and he get to walk. I don't know. It's all bullshit, and hence the title of this rant you're about to join me on. So I started thinking, okay, what the hell is going on? Okay, I've tried to be very technical. You guys know my style. Here's a problem, here's some solution sets. What the hell's going on? So everyone's freaking out about Megatron or Omicron and Megatron. Somebody told me it was the Megatron version. For those of you who don't know, that's an evil transformer, and now I've got Megatron variant stuck in my head. My younger brother's an ass, but he's my younger brother. That's why I like him so much. The guy that ran. Right, he was out on $500 bail and then got in the car and ran people over, right? I'm assuming he didn't get the 500 after he killed people. But why did it get to that point? You're absolutely spot on, Bug Dude. Why did it get to the point where people lost their lives because this pendejo keeps attacking other people? He's a cabron, stick him in jail. Yeah. And as you can see, this was full of rum and ice, and I'm just on a pissed off rant today. So again, in advance, I'll probably restore. Wait, what? Megatron was also the old Detroit. Okay, now I got to look that up. I'll have to look that up. I'll get with you later, Heroic. Hey, Serena Acuity. I saw a few other people. I think I've missed a few folks here, so if I did, I'm sorry. Like my Spanish, my Spanglish. Wait, and then sometimes I'll throw in Cajun French because I lived with them for like 15 years, so I know all sorts of bad words. What the hell? I think what pissed me off the most, that easily could have been, my wife. It could have been my daughter. It could have been my daughter-in-law. It could have been anybody. It could have been one of y'all or your spouses. Why? No reason. He wasn't trying to rob. He didn't make any move for the purse, just because she was there. And you know what? He's back on the street. It just blows my mind. So I started looking at the Megatron variant, okay? And you know what? I think certain things sound better when you say bad words in Spanish. I really do. Because you call someone a dumbass, that's kind of funny, but you say pendejo, and that has color to it. That's flavorful. Anyway, so I found the interview with the original South African doctor who found or was able to delineate, define, and recognize the Megatron variant. And that's what I'm going to call it from now on, because that seems to be cool. So let me share this with you, because share screen. Let's see if I screw it up here. And okay, so let's see if I got it. Let me know if you can hear this. If you can't, flag me.
That is Angelique Coetzee, chairperson of the South African Medical Association, and somebody who we should all be listening to right now. Doctor, I really appreciate you joining us. this morning, an important interview. I hope we have the time. I was publishing stuff from you and some of your colleagues on Twitter yesterday and over the weekend. I saw Professor Salim Karim saying that current vaccines may actually still be effective against Omicron. From your vantage point, what do we know right now, and what might the world and some world leaders be getting wrong?
Good morning, and good morning to all your viewers out there. So, yeah, that's a very interesting question. So there's two things that we can look at it from two angles. The one is, what do we know? Is what are we as clinical practitioners or family practitioners see on ground level? And what are our current ICU status? And then the other hand, the other angle is, what are the scientists seeing and their experience? Because it's actually two worlds. One is the scientific world and the other one is the clinical world. So at this stage, what we are observing is mild cases. As in this morning, I already saw 3 cases, but all 3 children under the age one. The oldest was 13, and a 10-year-old, and I think the other one is 7 years old. So mild cases, again, easily treated at home. The cases that we have seen last week and the week before last week, also mild cases. So we are looking for the cases, because the severe cases is what's going to say we are in trouble. I presume that might come later, but not now. Now it's mild symptoms, easily treated at home.
Okay, the data we were looking at, and I published some national South African data showing that across the nation, hospitalizations are well down from your winter. However, in the Gauteng province, Johannesburg, one of the most densely populated areas in the world, we have seen hospitalizations triple off their lows of a couple.
Okay, hold on a second. Here we go. Hold on. I offended the internet gods, so let's try that again.
May know about who is in the hospital, vaccinated, unvaccinated, old, young, etc., doctor?
So that data is not available currently. So even if the numbers are, I'm not sure where the data is coming up from the numbers tripled in the hospitals, because in the Pretoria region hospitals, which is the epicenter, I did a survey yesterday, and mostly 2 patients. I know of 1 patient that's been ventilated currently in one of the private hospitals, and the others are there before we have started to see on the 18th of November these cases. So, it might be that the public sector hospital seeing a bigger influx of patients. And then again, I'm also not aware that is drainage of the gun. That might change. I know that Baragwana Hospital is where Prof. Ruda is. They have seen a few young people with comorbidities coming into the ICU. That's I don't know.
Yeah, that is coming, by the way, from the National Institute for Communicable Diseases. So I published the website yesterday, and that's kind of what here in the U.S., a lot of people in the media, including myself, are looking at and sending around. Should we not be looking at that data for the accurate or at least entire picture, Dr. Coetzee?
Yes, we can look at that data. I'm also looking at our data that we have seen today from Discovery Health. And again, there's nothing significant that say, yes, we are moving into a real problem going forward. We will have to look, and we keep on saying, going forward, within the next 2 weeks, we will know what is happening. If you look at the data in Gauteng, if you look at the data, you will notice that yesterday, out of 12,300 patients tested, only 2,300 was positive. And Again, we're not aware of massive admissions to hospitals. It's not there. Not in the Pretoria
Okay.
region.
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to do
Well,
that.
that's very, very good news. And, you know, and as I pointed out, South Africa has some of the world's, if not the world's leading virology labs and research scientists, because you and your colleagues have been dealing with so many viruses. You've been fighting HIV and AIDS for so many years that you are identifying some of these mutations before the rest of the world. Do you feel like because you did identify and share this mutation, and allowing scientists and vaccine makers to sequence the data, do you feel like South Africa is then sort of getting almost a bad rap in terms of the virus? Because many people are saying, well, this is where it, quote, came from. We do not know the origins of this strain, do we, Dr. Coetzee? You simply sequenced it, identified it, and shared it.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. And that's the tragedy of it all. You know, we try to do due diligence. Our clinician, our scientists said, listen, look what we have seen. We share the data. We're telling you there are 30 plus mutations. We don't know what it means. We don't know what it means going forward. Exactly what they did with the beta variant, which was detected in South Africa also. And they also then alerted the rest of the world. But this time, the world reacted different towards us. And again, as in any pandemic, it's very, very early wave. This is very, very early days. We are mostly seeing young people coming in. The elderly that I have seen and that we have, you know, with positive test that has been vaccinated, again, mild cases, really, really mild cases. No one has been need for any hospitalization. So it might change, because if the unvaccinated people with comorbidities get sick going forward, yes, they will be admitted. But that's not to say that the vaccine didn't work because they were not vaccinated.
Okay, I gotta say that was probably one of the most, okay, and I got a commercial running on my headset here. Let me get rid of this foolishness. That was probably one of the most genuine, honest, and informative interviews I've seen in a while regarding this entire fiasco. And it makes sense because keep in mind, South Africa is a very relatively modernized country compared to everything else in Africa. And they've been battling HIV, the Ebola, and all this other stuff. And these guys were able to really, the coward variant. Hey, Mountain Grandma, how are you? And Metal, I think I missed someone here. Oh, and yeah, Heroic, I saw your comment. It's up there somewhere. I'm going there here in a little bit. Like I said, I was telling Loretta and Joe I might wind up in YouTube jail by the end of all this, but that's okay. But yeah, this doctor's boots on the ground, and she's saying, if you're healthy, mild. If you're medicated, mild. If you have comorbidities, i.e. you have an underlying issue and you're neither healthy or took meds, then you're at risk. That makes logical sense to me. And again, everyone, I know everyone's got a lot of different opinions about medications, not medicated. But the fact that she broke it down like that and said, and we're seeing it, it's right here. Notice they were young kids. So over time, historically speaking, the flu we now know as, we have flu A and flu B. If I'm doing my math right, flu A was the Spanish flu. Flu B was a variant of the bird flu from years ago. So when they first hit, it was a shit show, right? People killed over, and then as it evolved, right? The virus wants to stay alive, right? So if it starts knocking off its host, that's not accomplishing it because it dies with the host. It's going to evolve so that it can transmit without killing off its hosts and thinking like a creature. So In any case, that was a positive report. I thought it was honest for once, which was neat. And the fact that it was on CNBC blew my mind because I was like, I don't know who this reporter is, but I like him because at least he shoots straight. And he even pointed out, hey, do you think you guys are getting a bad rap down in South Africa? And she's like, no, hey, it's what it is. So, it's just one of those things that uh, it's not. They don't know enough yet to take severe action, but they need to watch it. It could mutate the wrong way, but traditionally, historically, over years, any new illness will ultimately dilute over time as it rolls through the population. So we're starting to witness it. Now, why like Florida and New York are acting in totally opposite ways beats the hell out of me, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But this is also affecting the economy. So let me throw this one. I got another one for you. This one's a short video. And guys, I apologize. Some of these videos are a little bit longer. But just the info is really relevant. And I just want you guys to be able to be informed of what I'm finding. And I like having the videos because now you have my reference point, and you can go and do your own digging because I'm a big fan of that. Let me know
CEO
if you can hear
worried
this.
global markets on Tuesday with a warning about the new Omicron variant. Stefan Bancel told Britain's Financial Times that current vaccines were not likely to be as effective against it. He also warned it could take months to begin shipping a vaccine that works against the new variant. Bancel's comments drove fears that vaccine resistance could lead to more sickness and prolong the health crisis. European stocks fell around 1.5% in early trade after the comments. The Pan-European Stock 600 dropped to its lowest level in almost 7 weeks. It comes just days after the index saw its worst single-day performance in more than a year on Friday. Oil stocks fell more than 2.6%, while crude oil futures shed more than $2. European travel stocks, which have been battered during the health crisis, also lost more than 2.5% Tuesday. Asian shares had seen similar drop-offs. Japan's Nikkei wiped out early gains and hit its lowest level since October 7th. The country, like Israel, has closed its borders to foreign visitors. Moderna did not reply to Reuters about when it expects to have data on the vaccine's effectiveness against Omicron.
Okay, so at least the guy was honest and said it may not work. His stocks took a hit. So I don't think he would have done that lightly. Because I promise you the other companies like, yo, we got the whatever, take your 500th pinch. And these guys are like, oh, wait a minute. You could take all the pinches you want of our stuff. It may not help you, So at least a couple of the companies are kind of like, hey, the pinch that starts with the J, the med, that one actually from the get-go said, look, this is kind of like a flu shot. You might still get sick, but it won't kill you, but it'll suck. But I don't even know how to respond to Joe's comment, but that was good. Thank you, Joe, because I was in a mood earlier, and that kind of lightened me up a little bit. So what we're hearing from Moderna, from the doctors on the ground where this new outbreak is coming is not as bad, but if you're at risk, it could be dangerous, which is fair. And then we have this, which is just, I don't understand where how that comes from, but here we'll share this. And these guys are state of emergency in New York until January 15th, supposedly to increase hospital capacity in the state. This is the National Review, for those of you who didn't catch the website. Let's see, hospital capacity in the state in the event that the winter season, a new variant, bring an excess surge. But you see, they could have, it's called, Wait, I just missed. Hey, ANC girl. Wait, what? Number 3 poke called roost. More flair. There you go. It's una cagada, Brad. If you're familiar with Spanish, you'll know exactly what that means. But if you take a lot of the turd emojis and just fill up a text and send it to your best friend, that's a cagada. Basically, you're just shitting everywhere. But so National Review said, they're declaring a state of emergency. Now, for the record, Texas will do this even before a hurricane hits us. Like it gets close and they're not sure which way it's going to go. They'll declare a state of emergency to get resources allocated, call up the Guard, call up the Red Cross, get all the volunteers. But what these babosos are doing, they've decided that it's okay to just tell everyone we're under a state of emergency and freak out the public, right? So now the public's freaked out in the city for absolutely no purpose because the crap isn't even, I think it may have arrived in Canada, possibly. Okay, you see, and this is the kind of stuff, thank you for sharing that, by the way. Yeah, they don't need to take the oh no, that's fine, they'll find me. I can't hide. Yeah, and see, this is what blows my mind. They could do what our governor did in Texas, which they do in Florida, right? I like Governor Abbott because he used to be a prosecutor, so it just comes out of him like plain, where he said, we're declaring a state of emergency for this hurricane. We don't know if it's going to hit. It's preemptive. We're releasing funding. We're getting the Red Cross. We're calling up certain Guard units, the engineers, blah, blah, blah. Everyone stand by for more information. That's cool, right? You've told the public, hey, look, we're getting ready, but we don't know if we're going to need it. Everybody start buying your water and whatever the hell you need for a hurricane. What they've done here is freak these people out. Due to no workers. You're kidding me. I grew up in that part of the world. That just blows my mind what Heroic just put in there. Heroic, are you where you can talk? Because I want to bring him up here because he and I've been emailing back and forth, and I know he's seen some other junk. Because I know he's also got his kids in practice. I don't want to invite him to a live stream and he's at like baseball or something. But in any case, folks, this is a problem because what you're doing, you're creating a lot of panic. It's going to shut down businesses, and right now, guys, Amazon is not hurting. Two minutes. Okay, I'm assuming you mean 2 minutes and you can talk. Yeah, as opposed to you're 2 minutes away from practice. But yeah, it blows my mind because right now small businesses are getting hammered all over the country. I can't tell you how many. I'm going to get off this channel because this is just going on and on with videos and crap. Small businesses are getting run over. They're shutting down. They can't afford the people to work if they can even find people to work. Ironically, the family-owned businesses are doing well. In my part of Texas, a lot of the restaurants, they're either Spanish or I guess you could say Anglo. They're white folks, but for the most part, they grew up out here, right? They're ranchers and vaqueros and all that mix of folks who've grown up in the farm, grew up on the ranches. They opened a restaurant or a store, and so they got like every restaurant that's privately owned in my part of the world. They've got their let's send link here. Okay, hold on. Nope, that wasn't the correct. Let's see if I can get this guy on here. All right, we're going to see if we can bring Heroic on. I wanted to try and bring him on, but our schedules are really screwed up together. While he's getting sorted out, I'm going to share this this page with you here. And again, It's the well, I don't want to see Andrew Cuomo testifying about his misbehavior. Okay, there we go.
State of emergency in New York.
Can you hear
This
that
is ahead
audio?
of that new COVID variant of concern, which is centered around South Africa right now. Now, it's important to note, at this point, it has not been found in New York, but the governor says it's coming. Now, experts say the reinfection risk is very high. So on Monday, the U.S. has announced it will restrict travel
up,
from
buddy?
8 African nations. Officials say that the Omicron variant has 50 mutations, and there are some worries that it could escape immunity. A lot of questions still with this. Now, meanwhile, on Long Island, some of the 200 kids who participated in a clinical trial for the COVID vaccine are now fully vaccinated. Want to get out to News 4's Greg Sergel live
that's
in
Stony
Comac
Brook,
with
man.
the latest on that. Greg.
Well, Natalie, really a strange day here at this Comac medical facility. As you said, families and doctors were celebrating the vaccine trials that Stony Brook held over the past few months. But it all happened as a new COVID concern was presenting itself. The Millers of Smithtown hoped that 10-year-old Jonathan's second vaccine dose today would ease their COVID concerns. The doctors here at Stony Brook Medicine are already focusing on yet another pandemic threat, a new COVID variant.
The concern is going to be, does the antibody you get from vaccination also prevent this new virus?
Dr. Sharon Nachman says it's still unclear if vaccines will work against this variant. The World Health Organization today labeled the variant a major concern. President Biden has already ordered travel restrictions starting Monday for 8 African nations. The variant was first identified in South Africa.
And I guess the internet gods decided we will not hear more of that. So that will be the end of that. Guys, I'd like to welcome Heroic Prepper. If you have not seen his channel, please go check it out. He's my East Coast bud. And a lot of us, we email and message all the time in the background, guys. What do you think, man? What are they doing?
There's
the crackheads are beating up women and they're locking down the businesses.
There's so much things going on. First of all, thanks for having me on your channel. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, there is a lot of crap going on, but like I said before, I think the crackhead thing. That's going to continue for the rest of our lives.
Was that politically incorrect?
No, it's okay. But I'll tell you this, and what makes me a little worried is that they're really trying to drive home this Omicron, Megatron, whatever virus. And like I said in the chat, I have a feeling it's just something to distract us from something else that could be happening. Like right now, for me, the biggest thing that's going on is what's going on internationally in China and how they're preparing for a lot of stuff. So, that is my number one concern. And on top of that, I'm not sure if you saw the news today, but that shooting in Detroit in school, which was absolutely insane. But again, a lot of the stuff that we see nowadays is we're seeing more because of social media. So we're seeing firsthand a lot of stuff. So yeah, it's just right now, and I think somebody in your chat said it right. The virus is just a smorgasbord of a virus. It's just Omicron, this and that, this variant. But I think it's distracting from something, and to me, I think it's international stuff. So
yeah, and I think it's not only international. I think they're trying to distract us from the fact that bleach is $6 a bottle.
Yeah,
dude, for $2 more, I can get bad vodka. Why?
You know what? The bad vodka could do two things. It could probably use as gas for your car, and then and for drinking purposes. But right now. The pricing on a lot of things is just skyrocketing. I kid you not. I actually just posted a video that I'm posting up. I actually went and bought these dollar store waters, which are a gallon waters for $1. And my dollar store has not went to $1.25 yet, which I know a lot of them are going to, from what I'm hearing. But yeah, I mean, the dollar store's a really good place if you can stock up on stuff. Because right now, I mean, milk where I am, milk is $5 a gallon. Gas is almost $4 a gallon. So
Holy
it's
cow. God.
yeah, I think it's like the last time I checked it was $3.83 for regular.
What about
So, yeah.
farmers markets where you are, like, buying direct from? Because if I'm thinking where you are more or less on the East Coast, once you go about an hour inland, there's a lot of farms out there.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if they're still there from when I was young, but yeah, there were a bunch there.
Yeah, I believe it or not, you're right. There are tons of farmers markets, and I'll tell you this: there's a shortage at the farmers markets with a lot of stuff. I'll tell you that
Really?
right now. Yeah, not as much, as you're used to seeing. I believe it or not, I just went to the farmers market a couple of days ago, and there wasn't much. I mean, there were pretty much scraps, and I was shocked with a lot of stuff. But the pricing it's up, but not as high as you thought it would be. So, I mean, if you want to get stuff like that, farmers market's the place to go for fruits and
Yeah.
vegetables and stuff like that. For us, and you probably know this from being on the East Coast, ShopRites and stores like that, which are like, I guess, the Krogers of the
Does
world.
Key Food still exist?
No, well, you know what? I think it does. Believe it or not, I think it does.
That was
I
the
think there's like
raunchiest grocery
I think there's
store
like
in the
one. I
universe.
think there's like one left in like existence.
Probably my old one. God.
Yeah, so
miss you, man.
it's like one that's like out in the wilderness by itself, like no parking spots.
Yeah, probably.
But no, I mean it's crazy. I mean there's a lot of stuff going on, and you really I mean it helps the channels because there's so much to talk about. But it's also the one thing I do not try to do, and I know you do this too, is not trying to scare no one, just trying to tell everyone what's going on and have everybody prepare for whatever could happen. No one thought a coronavirus would come and things would be shut down, and look what happened. So you never know. You never know.
A true story. Back in December of 19, when it first started, we first started hearing coronavirus. Like when you go on Twitter and I saw these Chinese troops in mop gear. You remember that stuff, right?
Yep.
And they'd go and grab dudes out of their apartments and throw them in these paddy wagons, and the little orange suit guys who look like those. There's a child from Monsters Inc. would grab the poor dude and throw him in.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's a really harsh reaction to what's a flu. And it was one of the last reports I did to my old guard unit. Was like, we got to watch this. I don't know what's going to happen. And our medic's like, I hear it's just a bad flu. And we're like, eh. And they kind of blew it off. And like 5 months later, everything went down the toilet. And it's like, but this, it's interesting you bring up the international stuff, because we got two major problem areas. I think the Taliban and the Afghan thing was embarrassing, but that's a distraction.
Yeah.
I
agree with you.
Europe right now.
I have family there, and there's so much. I have family that live in the UK, because believe it or not, I'm half Italian, half Ukrainian. So I have family. I have family over. I have family in England. I have family in the UK. I have family everywhere internationally, and we talk through Facebook. And they're going through a lot of stuff over there right now too.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. But I mean, you really can't pinpoint. There's so much shit going on. It's just crazy.
Well, it's funny. I went to, it's the most badass bar in Amsterdam. So I wound up there in the middle of the day because they canceled all my meetings and I couldn't find a flight. So I wound up stuck for 48 hours in Amsterdam, of all places. And I called my boss. I was like, hey, I can't find a flight. He's like, he said, I don't know. He's Scottish, right? He's like, I don't know. Just piss off. Don't get drunk. Don't get divorced. All right. So, I went around my business, and it was a bar. It was one of these like hole in the wall. Remember the wooden speakeasy type bars you'd see in like Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or in Newark, like they just all wood.
Yep.
The guy was a tank driver for NATO in Desert Storm.
Oh my God.
He deployed with our 10th Mountain.
Wow.
And I saw the 10th Mountain flag, which is one of my old units, and his flag, and I'm like, you deployed with NATO? And he's like, yes, I did. And we started talking. And he said, man, on the street, this was a few years ago. He said, they're terrified of Putin. And he was only 8 years in power. He said, they're terrified of him. They're basically the people in the Netherlands and like Belgium are waiting for Russian tanks to just go and flatten their cities.
Mm.
And he
Mm.
said, you guys have no idea in America how terrified they are from and Donna. Loretta just posted your link up there, bro. So
Oh, awesome. Oh, thanks, Loretta. I
so you
appreciate that.
get to some. I don't know if you're gonna get new content
You know what,
folks
man?
following your content, man. But
You know what? It's all good. I just like to be on here, kind of, share my stories and share some of the things that I'm doing and my family's doing. Like we, believe it or not, man, we actually put in, and I posted on the video. We put in this year a 30,000 gallon pool. And
good call.
yeah, I
And
wanted
fun.
to do that. Yeah, I wanted to do it for fun, of course. The kids love it and everything. But also, you never know, man. I mean,
No.
So 30,000 gallons of water I'll take. But what I've been doing, actually, and I'll tell you kind of the industry that I'm in. I'm in like the staffing and recruiting industry. So I kind of see where companies are failing. So I'm working with a lot of companies that are in absolute desperate. And I think also who works in staffing and recruiting is Pinball Preparedness or Pinball Prepping. Talked to him once about he's also in the staffing and recruiting field, and you could ask him too. And companies are struggling, and this is a huge thing, and it's going to get worse in warehouse workers. Like no one wants to work in the warehouse anymore.
No.
And there's companies struggling, and I know this for a fact because they reach out to me like, "Hey, we need people," and believe it or not, we can't find anybody that wants to do it. And
you can't.
And that's going to kill us too, and that's killing our what's it called? That's killing our what's the word I want to use? Our
supply chains. Also.
Yeah, supply chain. Yeah, and it's killing everything. And hey, real quick story. A friend of mine's also he works on the freights, the shipping freights where ships come in, drop off stuff. It's my friend Dave, and he says it usually takes about a couple days to unload a ship right out of the coast here. And what happens right now, it's taking 3 weeks.
So are they not coming back because they're over incentivized to stay at
home? They're making more money staying home. No, they're actually, you know what it is? Some people are just making more money staying home. I mean, collecting unemployment. I know that. Or they just don't want to do it anymore because the pay's low and they want more money. So, I mean, I've seen it. I mean, I work with a lot of retail companies are struggling for e-commerce, absolutely struggling. It's sad. It's sad, but
Mountain Grandma just posted a local dollar store said in Arizona only have to work 2 months and then they can go on unemployment even if they quit. That's crazy. In Texas, it's a right to work state. If you quit, it's like, you get no unemployment. You decided not to work.
Same in Jersey though. In Jersey, if you quit, you can't collect. So you have to be let go to collect.
But
so
I mean, man, that just blows my mind. How are we? Well, so I went to Costco in Austin, Texas. Went to visit my daughter and her boyfriend down there, and they were stocked. Like I was tripping on product. Literally, I took a video. I don't know if I've posted it yet or not. I'm losing track of what I posted, but and it was just a multitude of stuff. But Costco was one of those companies who saw what was coming, I guess, and they said, you know what, we're just going to hire our own drivers. And they went direct to their own drivers. They hired their own crane operators at the dock and basically just circumvented, because, in the past, I mean, you'd know this. I mean, I deal with it too. You got the trucking company, you got the logistics company, you got the importer, you got the crane operator at the dock who lifts all the shit off the boat. And they just bought it all. They hired dudes and ladies and said, y'all, this is your job.
Yep.
And they just made their own supply chain.
You know what? You're right. And that's the one industry. My buddy actually quit his job after 14 years and saw this coming and decided to start his own logistic company. He bought a truck. He made a couple calls and he's making tons of money because companies can't find anybody to do it. So he's getting hired to do these deliveries. And I'm talking about big companies. I mean, I'm talking about like believe it or not, the Amazons, other companies are hiring. So he's making tons of bank
So
right now.
is he driving a like a smaller, like a panel truck, or is he driving a semi?
He's driving a box truck, just a normal box truck, and he's doing like pallet deliveries. What happens is some of these companies like the Amazons or the Walmarts need something delivered to another store that same day. So they'll call independent contractors to do it for him.
Right.
And he's making bank. He's making bank right now because no one wants to do it. So if you want to get into an industry, people, that's right now, logistics is the way to go.
Honestly, my company was offering like the crane, forklift, bulldozer shirt, because we need those guys in the field, and I'm on the business contract side now.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm done with the field. And I'm like, man, I should go get that recert, if nothing else, for that training.
Yep.
Because, then it's like, hey, you're laying people off. I'll go work a forklift. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like,
and hey, you can make some extra money. You know what? The one thing that scares me, and it's funny, I was actually talking to my wife the other day about it. And what we've noticed with all this stuff going on between, like I said, the viruses, all these viruses, like I said, and then with unemployment rising and with people not working and all this stuff, what we noticed is that crime is on the rise big time. And we actually had it happen to us. I don't know if you, I don't know if I posted a video, but I had a yard sale. If you don't mind, I'll tell the story here real quick.
No, go ahead, shoot, man.
I had a yard sale.
I went on a rant for 10 minutes at the beginning of this video, and you can ask everyone who came in early. I was pissed.
It's all good.
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
Sure. So I had a yard sale, 2 weeks ago, right? And I posted, of course, on the marketplace, and I'm like, hey, huge yard sale, tons of new product, only Saturday and Sunday, right? I posted Saturday. We had a big turnout. Thing I was smart about, I didn't have the yard sale at my house. I had it at somebody else's. Well, I had it at my neighbor's, right? I don't like to put my address out there, right? So I had it actually at my neighbor's, which they were cool with. So I started putting stuff back in Saturday night because we were going to do it on Sunday. And believe it or not, my cameras were going off at 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, what the hell? Yeah. And I was actually sleeping. So my cameras were going off. My dog was going nuts. And I said, what the hell? And I saw a car.
The camera could be a car going by, but when your dog flips out.
Yeah. And not the cat was even acting strange. So I was like, what the hell? So by the time I ran outside, there was a car speeding away. I'm like, what the hell? So I go back to my camera and I see somebody actually came up my driveway, looked to see if I had any of the yard sale stuff outside overnight. Because, hey, sometimes they're bringing it all back in, you just cover it up. Right. They were going to rob stuff, 100%.
Oh,
and when they saw nothing was there, they took off. But of course, I blasted this person on all the local Facebook pages here.
and all the Facebook
groups. I posted it everywhere. I was like, hey, watch for this car, watch for this dude. And that guy didn't come back because you saw a clear picture. But just the fact that people are that desperate to rob a yard sale. And it's pretty scary.
I think it's two things, man. I think it's one, some of them may be in desperation. Two, I think they're just being brazen because they don't fear a consequence. Yeah. Which is the whole thing. Like the guy who hit my colleague's wife, they haven't received a consequence. And when the husband's like beating his ass in the street, he said the guy looked out genuinely shocked. And he didn't expect to get a beating because he's probably hit, there's 3 others that they knew of. He probably hit a dozen people for all you know.
Sure. Yeah. And,
it blows my mind that
Yep. What's Serene say?
Robert yard sale.
Is that crazy, Don? Is that crazy? I couldn't believe it when I looked at the camera. I just watched the guy and I was like, just my mouth, my jaw dropped, and I was like, what is going on here? Someone actually came, and the funny part was, the funny part was that they didn't even try to hide their car. They double parked in the street. Yeah.
Okay, true story, and I'm kind of embarrassed by this. Back in Houston, my neighbors across the street became really good friends of ours, right? And they were going on vacation, like, hey, we're going to be gone for a week, whatever. And I'm like, we were picking up the mail, doing it. In Texas, Louisiana is a completely different creature. People kind of watch out. You get to know your neighbors. You have barbecues. Yep. And they were gone. And I look out and there's a dude in a hoodie and it was starting to get dark. and he's around the corner where the gate was on their fence, and we had good little pieces of land, and I'm like, call the constable, I'll be right back. And before my wife could tell me, don't leave the house, I was already out the door.
Yeah,
I
of
walk up
course.
to this guy with an over-under over my shoulder, and I'm like, hey, Bubba, what are you doing? Poor guy was a lineman who was checking a meter. I
Oh,
about wet himself. He's like, oh, I have ID. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, man. Because we had people kicking in doors. I'm like,
yeah.
they're not kicking in my neighbor's door, not on my watch. So I walk.
No, dude. Yeah,
It's a different culture down here, man.
and it's like you said that in Texas, here in New Jersey, very hard to get a gun license here in New Jersey, and you probably know from the East Coast, it's very hard to get a gun license here. So a lot of people don't have guns. What they have is more like swords and knives and stuff like that. And there's my son.
I had an awesome baseball bat. Hey, buddy. Mr. Man there. Okay, nobody say bad words. But
yeah. But no, there was something. I think Serena, if I think said something.
Hold on, let's
I
go
think
back.
she says, "Oh, you definitely have to be gray in New Jersey. People are so angry and different." That's, you know what, you're right. And you know what's cool about it is I actually started a prepper page for New Jersey, New York, and kind of met a few like-minded people. Not many though here in New Jersey. But yeah, we are very angry and we drive angry. Just so you know.
Well, what's funny, so I got transferred across Texas, right, for work. And then they transferred a guy I'd worked with for years, right? And we're in a meeting, and we're just doing like a conference, and we're talking to the boss, and everyone's leaving the room. And I turn around, and he said, yeah, I got to go, I got to drive over to Austin. And Austin was full of homeless camps at the time, just before they finally cleaned it out.
Yeah.
And he goes, man, I'm just going to bring my bag, bring what I need, and hope for the best. And I turned around and said, well, just be gray, man, blend into the back. And him and another guy, we've known each other, no joke, like 10 years. They both looked at me and went. So one's a homesteader and a rancher. The other one's been a prepper for years, mapped out all the golf cart locations in like 3 different cities in Texas. So we're sitting there having drinks one night, and we're like, how the hell did we not know? And he said, you know what? Because we were doing it right. We understood the assignment, buddy. That's what we were so gray that other preppers didn't realize that we were preppers.
Yeah, that's what I like. Same here. Believe it or not, it's kind of same story. We moved here a couple years ago, and our neighbor, it kind of worked out great. Our neighbor we've been friends with for years. The house next door was actually up for sale, so we were able to buy the house next door to them, which was fantastic. And come to find out, they also not as hardcore, I guess, as us, but do prep and do prepare, and that was great to know. And we and just like you and your neighbor, we watch out for each other, and I kind of gave him a little bit of shit when I said, hey, a dude came up my driveway and you didn't tell me, and you didn't alert me, you didn't do what the hell? He was like, man, I didn't see it. But yeah, for sure. I mean,
that's a good thing. So like, my grown kids, I got one he went on a very ugly deployment and came back. And him and his wife, I'm not worried about, because she's an Army girl. And I'm like, y'all have better training, more updated training than I do.
Yep.
And I'll tell you their MOS separately on another
gotcha.
email. But yeah, they're one of those MOSs. I'm not worried about them.
Yeah.
So, now my daughter and her boyfriend, and now her friends, her neighbors, she's like, in case this happens, we should have this. Do you want to go buy bulk? And they're buying pallets of stuff, bro. And 3 or 4 houses will split the cost. They'll like Venmo each other.
That's a smart idea. Really smart.
The truck comes and it puts the pallet of like water bottles. I don't know. I'm just throwing something out there.
Yeah.
And then they count out the water bottles, and everyone comes. It's like right in the middle of the street, and all the 4 neighbors are like, okay, you get 15. Everyone gets 15. And they just start toting them to their house. And then the next neighbor is the purchaser, and everyone Venmos that gal. And she gets the shipment, and then they distribute from there. And I'm like, man, you guys got this on another level, right?
That's a fantastic idea. Fantastic idea. I didn't even think about that idea. You know what? Just so you know, I'm going to throw this out there to you. Actually, there's a cool website called BrickSeek, and I want to throw this out there because this has helped me find some really good things at really good prices. It's called BrickSeek.
Is it spelled just like that?
Yeah, BRICKSEEK, and
See if I
you
can
can
find it.
actually, yeah, if you can actually go in there. Let me see if I can actually. I just want to make sure I give you the right website. Yeah, Brickseek. Yep,
Oh, here it is.
BRIC.
I'll show.
Here's the
Oh,
cool thing.
I almost invited Brickseek to the chat. I don't think that's the right button.
So let me tell
Okay,
you.
here
So
we go.
Brickseek is a really cool site, and I kind of want to share this with everyone. It's a really cool thing. So what happens is a lot of these stores, as you can see, it has Amazon, Walmart, B&H stores. They have things, secret deals. Believe it or not, there are things at these places that you wouldn't even know. Like for instance, we'll look at that DeWalt gun. If you scroll down, if you look at that DeWalt gun right there, if you go into the store, it'll say at Home Depot, it'll say $266, but if you go to scan it at checkout, it's $199. So you don't even know it
Dude,
until you go and scan it.
do you still have your IDs, even the expired ones?
Probably.
From when you were in?
Yeah,
If you have it,
they give you a
if you
discount at
have
Home Depot.
you get a discount.
Yep. Yep.
Home Depot and Lowe's are awesome. My corgi ran loose. Actually, she ran off her harness. She just took off and was running around with like a work glove in her mouth. And the people there were absolutely cool. By the way, corgis run 24 miles an hour. So if you want a fast dog, that's
Oh yeah, my dog ain't even close to that. But yeah, so anyway, so this place is really cool. So I picked up.
this.
And there's some
This
deal.
is cool, dude.
It is. And if you look at the MSRP on these things, the MSRP on these are what the store sells them for. So you'll see on the price tag, say a Walmart, it'll say $49.99. But then if you go and scan it at checkout, it'll say $29.97 because it's secret deals.
No
And
kidding.
the reason I say that, and my sister got me into this, and because she uses this, I got the buddy heaters, my buddy heaters. The propane ones, usually
little,
like $99. They were $59 scanned.
Get out.
Nope.
Okay, I got Brickseek up again. It locked up on me. Let's see what else we have here.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a few stores on here. I think it's Home Depot, Target, Lowe's, CVS, Staples, even Dollar General. But I'm like, Dollar General, isn't everything just supposed to be a dollar, anyway? So
well, now it's $1.25. No, it was dollar stores $1.25 now.
yeah, believe it or not, mine's still $1. But yeah, it's a cool site. I figured I'd share with you and your followers. I mean, it's pretty cool. And
awesome, man.
And what's cool is too, you put in your zip code, and it'll tell you. And don't put in your zip code now, but it'll tell you.
Yeah.
The Walmart by you if they have it in stock, and then you could just go and scan it for the price that it's supposed to be. There's so many secret deals. It's not even fun, but you can find some really good camping gear and stuff. So I figured I'd share that with you guys.
So, all right. Well, cool, man. And thanks for sharing that. Folks, by the way, be sure to check this guy's page out. He always has good stuff. And every now and then he'll go on a rant like I will. Today, dude, I was so salty when I started this video. Like, you missed the first 10 minutes. I was cursing in multiple languages about stuff. It was just... But
I was going to drink rum with you, but not with him, not with little man here.
No. But I might actually be in your neck of the woods in 2020. Well, assuming like the Russians don't attack us or something.
And right now, who knows what the hell's going to go on? But yeah, man, I picked up with my buddy guys for $59 when it's usually $90.
Right. So check this out too. Oh no, that's not the button I wanted to press. I done screwed up here. Hold on a second. Here we go.
Sure.
Here we go. And this blows my mind, man. So this is Bloomberg, right? And I'm not a big fan of Mayor Bloomberg, but he was a businessman. At least he understood money. I give him credit for that. But you look at this, and it's like the Germany's incoming chancellor said his government will need to take action, or Europe's biggest economy is suffering from rising prices.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you notice they keep saying, month on month, it's been 6%. But when you go year on year, it's way in the double digits, 20,
double digits. Yeah, 20 plus. Yeah.
And media's like, since last month to this month, it's 1.2, and they kind of nominalize it. But you go back 2 years, and I mean, all I know is gas was $1.75 in Texas for the generic gas. It's $2.88 now, and my friends in California are $4.50. I don't know where you are right now.
$3.87 for us, almost $4. Yeah, and you know what? A lot of people.
There
Oh,
you
thanks,
go.
Caribbean. I appreciate that. It's awesome.
Caribbean's one of my early followers, like one of my first 20.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
So
awesome.
I'm super excited.
I
And I
appreciate that.
believe
Thanks.
Caribbean has a channel out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely check out, subscribe for sure. And if you notice, I don't know if you noticed this, but YouTube, I think, got rid of the dislike button. Is that true?
They had a dislike button?
Yeah,
Oh, like
yeah,
the
of
down?
course. Like
The
you can't
down
give a
button.
thumbs down anymore. Like it'll just say dislike, but it won't. Like you can't do it.
No, I was able. I disliked someone, actually someone I knew, just to irritate them. But
Somebody
so,
told me that. Hey, today it's pretty interesting. Really? And then I
think you
looked,
can still
and like I
dislike
said, like it won't tell you the amount. You can still press it, but it won't tell you the amount.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty.
Let's see if I
Oh,
dislike
hey,
one.
Brad, thanks, man. I appreciate that too.
No
That's
kidding.
awesome.
You're right.
Yeah.
I got to undo that. I dislike something on Hutch. I like Hutch. Poor Hutch. Hutch is like, what are you doing, fool? No, Hutch
Yeah.
is awesome. By the way, if you haven't seen Hutch Homestead, you all got to see him. You think
Yeah.
I get on bad rants from Mike? You got to see him. I'm in tears sometimes watching him. Holy moly, Monique! Yikes!
Where are you at, Monique? What? Just curious.
She's, I think, Canada.
Wow.
That's crazy. But they sell gas by the liter, so it's like $2 a liter there, and like, yeah, whatever. That's like $8 a gallon or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow. Yeah.
God, it's terrible.
You know, I feel bad for the trucking companies here because diesel is sky high. And my buddy, just the one that does the logistics, he actually sent me a picture through Facebook that he filled his tank up. It was almost $190, and that's going to
Holy
last him
cow,
one.
what was he driving?
That's the box truck, the huge box truck that he has.
So it's
And
not
he
even
said,
a semi. It's not a trailer or anything.
nope, he paid one. It was $177. I remember the picture, and
Holy hell!
and that's how high it is here right now. And you know what's sad? That's only going to last him like a week. Only a week.
So I filled my my F-150 up, and to be fair, because it's Texas, right? And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to the next city, and 5 hours later I get there. I have a 34-gallon tank in my F-150. No joke. The only thing I don't have is run flats. I have a safe built in the thing. I mean, I could fit a whole deer rifle in there, bro.
Wow.
But yeah, I filled it up today, and I was like, ow, what the heck?
Yep.
She's in Quebec. Oh,
Wow.
so you're on the eastern part of Canada, which is weird because there's actually gas and oil fields and refineries on that part of Canada.
Mm-hmm. Which is odd. You see, Brad says diesel here is $3.95. Gas is three. Hey, you know what, Brad? I wish it was $3.19.
Hey, I got something. Let me see if I can share this fun. And guys, this is an old website. I'm those of you who remember back in the day, this was, check it out, AAA. So let's sort by cost. California, $470.
Yeah, that's
like Hawaii. I understand, right? Because Hawaii's an island. You can't pipeline it there. You gotta.
you got to transport it over there. That makes sense.
But, how about where's Jersey?
Jersey's $3. It says $3.44. Yeah, it's $3.83. Hey, where I am.
Damn. Where's Texas? Texas is going to be at the bottom somewhere. There you go.
Man, good for you.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I found. Where is it? So these guys, I found them. So filet mignon, 20 a pound from the ranch. Ground beef, $6 a pound. But that's again from the ranch. That's custom orders. If you buy a quarter, so what I gotta do, I gotta deplete my stand-up freezer, and I already told my daughter and a friend, I'm like, do you guys want to all go in on like literally a half a beef, and we get half a cow.
Wow.
And you all just drive over here with your coolers, and we'll just stock you up the day I pick up.
That's awesome.
We bought a pig from FFA out in Houston. It was a kid actually from the Woodlands, and man, we had pork chops and bacon and stuff literally for a year. Filled up a whole freezer, just one pig.
The only time I remember when I was a kid, I remember this because my dad was in the army. We were based. I remember I lived in Germany with my father, my father and me, my
Right.
mother. We lived in Germany. We lived in Babenhaus, that town. We were there for about a year and a half. And I remember the people next door to me, because the houses there were combined. Like it was one large house, but it was like half of it was this person, half of it, but like two different families, right?
Right.
And I'll never forget, the next door neighbor was a butcher or whatever, and I'll never ever forget them bringing in a pig, and I was only like 7, bringing in a pig, and me watching from the window, hanging it up, bleeding it out, and cutting it wide open. I was like, oh my God, and it traumatized me as a 7-year-old. But I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that.
Man, wait, so they butchered it right there?
I remember them hanging it up. I remember they got like a
Oh, it was already deceased.
Yeah, it
The pig
was already done.
expired.
Yeah, and then they hung it up. Yeah, they hung it up and they just sliced it right down. And I remember, I'll tell you, I swear to God, and I remember it's so vivid. I remember the insides, some of them were still jumping around. And I was like, oh my God, I'll never forget that. Yeah, it was crazy.
That was really fresh.
Yeah. Let's see, Caribbean had 306 in West Central Florida. Man, I wish it was out here. Jeez.
So you know what? I saw this article earlier, and I want your thoughts on this, man.
Sure.
Because you were. I was old. Like I have PDUs, ACUs, and OCPs in my class. I'm in that group of dudes, but this one bugs the hell out of me, man. I think it's just like this stuff, this puffery, but I'm afraid one day someone's going to screw up and they're going to sink somebody's destroyer, or they're going to shoot a plane down, and it's going to get ugly.
All hell's going to break loose, unfortunately. And I'm with you on that one.
Troops and investment will cross a red line.
Well, let's start. You know, we got to start. You got to start with our fearless leader here, which is, that's just probably for another topic, which is absolutely insane right now. So, I mean, I just watched. Now I'm gonna rant. I know I'm gonna rant. I'm gonna hold back on ranting, but I never seen a president in my whole life from the podium, and then when they walk away, they usually have somebody else close the door. He closes his own door. Like, nobody wants to close the door for him when he leaves. That's how bad it is. And I couldn't believe it. It was on the news, and he closed the door, and he couldn't even close it. He was trying to close the door. And I'm like, what is happening? But I know, I was just talking to my uncle the other day, and he was, and he's, my uncle is 60, he's 64. And we were just talking, and he's like, what's the next thing you think's going to happen? Is there something major going to happen? I said, right now, I don't know. I said, I don't think anybody knows.
Yeah, and that's my frustration. It's like, what are we doing here?
Like, think about it. Bro, look, think about it. COVID came out of left field. Came out of left field. We all thought, oh, okay, like the flu. Then all of a sudden, like 5 months, like you said, it was boom, boom, boom. Everything was getting locked down. People were losing their jobs. It was insane. And then the food markets, I'll never forget the lines out of BJ's and Costco's. You're like, what? So you never know. What's Brad say? I can't see that. I don't have my glasses on.
Let me see. On the East Coast.
What do you mean? What is there on the East Coast?
Gas. They're still talking about gas.
Here where I am is 383 across the street from me.
Ouch. Yeah, he's 319.
Yeah, diesel's like 4 something here.
Thanks, Loretta.
Yeah, thanks for sharing my link too. I appreciate that.
Yeah, a lot of the mods and the mods are awesome, but they sometimes support multiple channels, and so it's hard. They're trying to like bounce back and forth. By the way, I sent your Christmas card to Waffles. Attention, Mike. So it's not. So if anyone asks, it's an inside joke, and
it's all good.
If I use your channel name, they'd be like, "What's this?" And
I got
questions. So
all good, good. But I think I'm gonna bounce now because
no worries, man.
Yeah, my son is doing Pokemon cards with my dog over here right there. You can see. So I'm gonna probably get him to bed. But I appreciate you having me jump on. Next time, I definitely want to jump on with you longer. And
No,
guys,
we'll do
definitely.
it on your channel, man.
Yeah, guys, definitely make sure you like this video. Make sure you like Roman Prepper video. This channel's awesome. I try to jump on all your lives as much as I could, but
Yeah, it's tough. I'm normally, I try to do it when I don't want to get stuck in the big channels and you just go into the abyss of big channels.
oh, you get like 2 watchers and that's it.
Right. Or you get too early and everyone's still at work, you know?
Yep.
So yeah, I'm
Yep.
trying to, but
Makes
yeah,
sense.
no, man, let's do this again. You got my email.
Awesome.
Let's stay in touch. And
Cool.
yeah, if you have that Christmas card from Waffles, you know who it was from.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it, man. I'll talk to you soon. Hey, thanks everyone. I
Hey, brother,
appreciate
be
it.
safe. Have
You
a good
too.
night.
Hey, God bless.
All right, guys. Yeah, Mike's awesome. You guys gotta check out his channel. A lot of pragmatic stuff there, and guys, it's just so many things going on. Like you said, they've lost control of the economy. It's almost to the point if are they members of the roaming. That's cool. I should put that on a little, like one of these little spirit patches. Put roaming army. I don't know what I'd put, like a little angry face or something. Now you got me thinking. We have double crickets in the other. We have double crickets machines in the other room. I may need to go and like hijack that for a bit. But guys, look, there's a lot going on, and apparently they haven't gotten control of the street situation. Right? There's crimes all over the place. People are getting mugged. What happened to my friend was absolutely unnecessary. And it almost seems like the people in charge were trying to push a certain direction and they screwed up. Like they're incompetent to do the job right. And so now what they've done is create a disaster, and now they're trying to clean up their mess and they don't know how to do it. They're creating all these distractions with Megatron and this other nonsense. And truthfully, look at what you're paying right now. Maybe they want, well, see, and that can go down the toilet, Monique, because you know what happened when the French Revolution they went into chaos and they went and found all the leaders and cut their heads off with guillotines. Then they started cutting each other's head off and shooting each other. You know, it didn't work out so well for Marie Antoinette and King Louis and all of them. Yeah, it's an absolute mess. So gang, just when you're in the streets, please. I grew up on the streets, and I learned some very bad lessons. Well, they were valuable lessons because I'm still here. But you know, pay attention to what's around you, because what happened to my colleague, and it's not the first time I've seen this kind of random weirdness. They're not enforcing quality of life laws, right? So the rest of us are trying to go about our business despite all this weirdness. And we have people who just don't know how to act, or they're just violent, whether they have a mental illness or they're the devil or whatever the rationale is. They cannot be out there beating up on innocent people while we're trying to go get groceries. That's insane. It's a double-edged sword. They got to enforce the quality of life laws and then get the help they need for these people who are having issues. But the lockdowns, people couldn't get treatments, they couldn't get meds, and you just have this whole thing's just spinning out of control. So our one saving grace, at least in the US, is that as a republic, the states have a lot of sway. People don't realize how much power a state has. So basically, at least once since I've lived for the last 25, 30 years in Texas, I've seen, God, it's almost been 30 years, I've seen the Texas Rangers threaten to arrest federal agents that violate Texas law. And it pissed the feds off, and the state was like, we don't care. What are you going to do? We have a bigger National Guard than you have a standing army. Go for it. And that's literally where it went. And finally, they figured something out. And it was just a lot of this. But again, the states have power. the states can say, you know what, no, we're going to take our own path, and they can push back, because right now it's just a mess. How can we have this nonsense? It just blows my mind. So guys, be careful on the streets. There's a lot of just bad weirdness going on, and folks who are out there are going to get victimized, because and again, it's the holiday season, right? You're in the holidays, people are going to malls, people are going shopping, you have your bags. We're not paying attention to our surroundings, and you need to do that. Okay, be mindful of what's going on around you. I don't want, hey, oh, I missed this from Mike. Hey, Mike, thanks, man. And again, guys, check his channel out. He's great. Yeah. And again, the shock in the guy's face after he hit my colleague's spouse, and then, you know, my coworker just like attacked the guy, and they're going at it. And he said the guy looked absolutely shocked. And he said, man, I was hitting him, but I couldn't get good shots. And I was thinking in my head, you should have used your elbow. And he looks at me and goes, dude, I'm not trained. I was a farm boy. I was just punching him. I don't know fancy stuff. You just punch the other guy. But again, if you're going shopping, so practical pointers. If you're going shopping, go in groups, go in pairs, get a couple of people, park under a light in the parking lot, or park in the garage or the covered area. Park by a light so you don't have a lot of shadows. People aren't sitting there under your vehicle. I would also, if you can, do your shopping during the day. Don't do it at night. If you can order online, have it delivered. Just make sure your porch pirates don't steal your crap. But pay attention. And by the way, we're having a lot of, yeah. And you see, that's an interesting point you make, because they're just looking at like Texas or Florida, and they're like, oh, well, these are pain in the butt areas. These are like bastions of disobedience to the collective. But the truth of the matter is, I mean, I promise you, they roll peacekeepers into certain areas, even whether it's New York City or Houston, and you're going to watch all the BS suddenly disappear, and everyone will lose their biscuits at once. So they don't like it. People are trying to push an agenda, or they're trying to make, honestly, I think it's all money and power. They want to get rich. They don't care if they sell out certain things. But for us on the street, those of us who have to work for a living, we have to commute for a living, we have to travel like I do, hence the name Roaming Prepper. I'm on the road constantly, guys. Be careful, pay attention. Look at what you carry as your EDC wherever you are, whether you're in Canada or, you know, East Coast, West Coast, Texas. Your rules and laws are different. Okay, make sure you have what you need, that it won't get you in trouble where you're going. Okay, because whether we like the laws or not, if you go from A to B and B has different laws, you got to obey B's laws. Double check those packs. Well, and Brad, it's funny you say that, because you think about how many former officers, former deployed, former law enforcement, former et cetera, are floating around the country. That would be an absolute train wreck. Just actually, if you haven't read the book Patriots, I think it's Patriots. It's not 1 second after. No, I think it's Patriots. It's John Wesley Rawls' books. He touches on that in one of the books, and I can't remember which one it is, but basically it was a bunch of former service members and professionals, you know, engineers, doctors, etc., who, when things started going sideways, as we've often conjectured, they went, no, I'm not a fan of that. And they suddenly became a major problem because they had the skill set and knowledge to pass on, and created all sorts of issues. And the truth of the matter is, I'll bet you half the brass would not be okay with like communism, you know, because that's the end of the republic right there. So In any case, who knows? Like I said, I might get this whole video taken away from me here in about 3 hours. But guys, be careful, be safe, ladies and gentlemen, while you're on the road, while you're visiting family. I've got trips in and out, and you know, I'm already pre-planning. I've been to most of these places already, so I know the areas. I'm making arrangements ahead of time. Mental note, guys, if you go to travel and you stay in a hotel and you know, you have like, you get gifts, right? Instead of toting them all back in your vehicle, depending on the nature and size of the gifts, consider going to the US Post Office, getting those flat rate mailing boxes, mailing your gifts to yourself at home, and put them in the mail so you don't have all these gifts and stuff in your vehicle. That becomes a really attractive target. Jewelry, other than dinner nights or gatherings, hide the jewelry. Be absolutely indiscreet. And ladies and gentlemen, whoever wears earrings, rings, bracelets, necklaces, minimize that. But if you can ship it to yourself, like someone gives you you know, I don't know, whatever, air fryer, stick it in a box, ship it to yourself, especially if you got a long drive. Depends on how much it's going to cost you, but the less you have in your vehicle, the less interesting your vehicle is, right? You have your overnight bag and your little computer bag tucked away under the seat. They look through the window. That's not very exciting. So be mindful of what you leave in your cars. Just like you in the hood. Yeah, well, you know, at the very least, bring a change, and Joe's onto something, bring a change of clothes that you can switch into, that is, one, comfortable, two, you are mobile, and three, is very unexciting. I touched on that in one of my very early videos going over riots. There's a color palette to crime. Crime has a color palette. It's usually gray and black. It's dark colors, occasionally with a colored bandana, a lot of hoodies, a lot of jackets. If something goes sideways, you want to blend in with that. You don't want to be the one dude in a three-piece suit and everyone else is in hoodies and Antifa masks. No, that's going to get you in trouble. Hey, have a good night, man. So, guys, we went way over my time normally, but I just wanted to share all this with you. I was really excited that Heroic Prepper was able to make it on the channel. I'm Joe Splaining. I am Joe Splaining, man. That's good stuff. Absolutely, gray man, be safe, and all that hidden stuff. Don't be exciting. Either that or be very puffed up to where they're like, no, he's going to kill everyone, just run away. I mean, you can go to both extremes, but don't look bougie and wimpy at the same time, because that's just going to invite a mugging. So anyway, guys, Stuart, Joe, Donna, everybody who's on the chat, Monique, I think Loretta had to bail. Heroic had to run. I may be missing someone. Guys, I'm going to shut it down. Thank you so much for joining me tonight and listening to my angry rant at the beginning of the video. Now, I'm curious to see how long it's going to stay on the tube versus the other channel with the R. But you guys be safe, be blessed, pay attention to your surroundings, double check your EDCs and your your vehicle bags. Make sure you have what you need in case something goes sideways. Until next time, y'all, God bless, be safe, help someone out if you can, and I will see you later this week. Take care.